The big story at 5:30 tonight, new details on a deadly alligator attack. A woman killed while canoeing at Lake Kissimmee State Park back in May. That story made national headlines.
There's a little bit of everything that Florida has to offer back here.
2025 was the year that revealed the natural wrath of Florida's top predators. Sharks lurked in waters presumed safe for children, and fully grown crocodiles were appearing in waterways and backyard pools. Unlike the slow invasion of the Burmese python, these recent encounters—
It sounds like a bad horror movie. Snakes are eating Florida, but it is true thousands of Burmese pythons are feasting on wildlife in the Everglades.
show another apex predator spilling out of the Everglades and actively stalking humans as prey. What is this predator, and how did people become part of its wild menu? Join us as we examine Florida's newly emerging top predator and the growing threat it poses. The Homestead encounters. It all began as a routine capture in 1999 near Homestead, Florida, an important moment no one remembers until today. A newly hatched crocodile was pulled from a canal feeding into Biscayne Bay. It was a young crocodile, small, harmless, and forgettable. After a quick tag and examination, it was released back into a better home miles away. But then, the unexpected happened. Years later in 2003, the same animal surfaced with the same tag and a much larger body. This time, it was found along Florida's southwest coast, having crossed bays, canals, estuaries, and human-made waterways close to homes and families without being seen for years. Just as before, it was captured and taken back to its natural habitat. And then it did something worse. It appeared again, this time barely a year later. And what followed was a game of cat and mouse with the wildlife authorities. This singular crocodile moved through Florida as if the region were mapped out for it, moving through human settlements without being seen.
And this 10-foot gator was having a marvelous time sitting right in my kitchen.
This continued until 2013, before the authorities saw this as a unique event worth looking at. And it would take another 12 years before they admitted they had a problem on their hands. And that was when dozens of crocodiles were now repeating the same pattern that began in 1999 in 2025. A deadly pattern that always ended with humans being the ultimate prey to all local apex predators. The Burmese pythons did not invade very quickly, but began in swamps before crossing roads. It didn't take long before they started entering backyards and killing many native alligators.
A sight that is so Florida. A gator takes on a python.
I pulled up slowly and stopped and saw immediately.
They destroyed local ecosystems so much that scientists feared the native species would be wiped out and humans would become viable targets. The same pattern also happened in India, where more lions were spotted walking through human villages, sleeping near human settlements and families and taking their livestock away. When that food source became almost impossible to get, the lions turned to their next viable option: humans. These encounters and tragedies proved one thing: the moment predators stop running marks the point at which a superior species becomes a target. And sadly, everyone would learn what happens when predators stop asking permission. Now let's take many steps forward to October 31st, 2025, the day when one incident at the South Patrick Shores in Brevard County changed public opinion about human encounters with wildlife in Florida. It was just an hour before noon with children playing outside and the rest enjoying the cool atmosphere. At first, the residential canal was serene and peaceful, but to everyone's shock, it quickly became the stage for a nightmare. Just 10 feet from the sidewalk where children had been playing minutes ago, an 11-foot crocodile appeared from the murky water. Within a blink, it had snatched a dog with its jaw, and everyone watched helplessly as the animal dragged its victim into the water. No one was warned about this, and when the wildlife authorities arrived minutes later, the creature had already vanished back into the canal. This would be one out of many bizarre encounters between man and beast, with patterns strangely similar to hunters and prey in the wild. And man is not the hunter. Worse yet, this happened on the heels of another event, this time on September 18th in Pompano Beach. Just a few minutes past 8 a.m., a crocodile was spotted gliding silently through the shallow surf. Swimmers screamed as they scrambled away from the water, but the animal remained the way it did. Its eyes scanned the entire area like a hunter ready to strike at its prey. One second, everyone was having fun, and the next, parents were dragging their children out of the now dangerous water. No one knew how long it had been there, or its reason for staying that way, staring in the direction of people at a time like that. Another encounter came up in Broward County on August 8, 2024, where a crocodile was found sunbathing just meters away from the beach. No one knew the animal was there until a man walking his dog stopped dead in his tracks, barely stepping into the water. The jaws of the beast were opened slightly, revealing sharp teeth that glimmered in the morning sun. Barely a few months later, in May 2025, a locally known crocodile lounging in the docks of Black Point Park and Marina followed and almost attacked the boats of multiple tourists passing by. Though the local authorities assured everyone that what happened was just another case of trained animals playing around, many tourists felt otherwise. As far as they knew, one careless step could have caused an attack, or much worse. Yet somehow, it only gets more frightening from here. On August 14, 2024, in Fort Lauderdale, one homeowner came back home from work only to find a crocodile resting in his family's backyard pool.
I saw something that's not usually in the pool, and it turned out to be an 8-foot alligator.
The head of the beast rose above the water as he scanned the house. Scientists who analyzed what happened admitted the crocodile was doing the same thing it does in the wild. Whenever it found a new habitat it liked and wanted to claim it for itself. By the rules of the wild, the homeowner had lost that territory for life. This was just days after another crocodile was spotted in Westlake Park, sunning itself near a residential lake. A little girl's beach ball has rolled towards the edge, with the creature slowly moving towards it like bait for the owners to come get it. These encounters were growing worse, each one escalating over the last. The patterns from South Patrick Shores to Pompano Beach, Broward County, Miami-Dade, and Westlake showed a strong pattern. Though the Everglades was teeming with life abundant enough to feed these apex predators and more, these crocodiles were moving beyond the Everglades. They were now prowling canals, streets, lakes, pools, beaches, and marinas. With crocodiles always returning to the streets of South Patrick Shores after being relocated by wildlife officials multiple times, many residents are starting to wonder what these beasts were looking for in human settlements. Normally, apex predators would stick to their habitats to reduce encounters with humans, only showing themselves during the most desperate times. But now, these predators had no fear of humans and were willing to venture into densely populated areas very casually. This theory was proven on January 20th last year, where one resident filmed a large crocodile walking across her street near Highland Oaks Park. It crossed the asphalt as if it were a part of the Everglades. People stayed inside their cars, watching helplessly as a predator claimed the space that always belonged to them. The rapid spread of these crocodiles was proving one thing: humans were no longer seen as threats anymore, but potential prey. And if you thought that was frightening, brace yourself, because we're just getting started. Scientists had a lot to say about these encounters, and it's safe to say their opinions and conclusions were nothing short of devastating. The unknown Everglades. Sometime in early June 2024, Michael Ramos, a wildlife expert and tour guide working in the Everglades, was paddling a small canoe near Shark River Slough when he spotted something that made him freeze. The crocodile was at least 12 feet long, sliding silently from the reeds into the water with almost no sound. It was now swimming in his direction, and, like one predator tailing him, wasn't enough tension. Two more shapes emerged out of the water, massive and dark. Thankfully, other guides of nearby airboats saw them as well, and just like that, the expedition was called off. About 3 weeks later, on July 2nd, a kayaker near Taylor Slough reported seeing something that would haunt him forever. A black caiman, the animal long thought to be confined to other continents, had emerged from the vegetation and stepped onto a tiny sandbar. But that encounter was not as spectacular as what happened on September 10th, when a small tour group near Lostman's River stumbled across a scene that no one could forget. About a dozen crocodiles were now lined up along the water's edge, examining the group from a distance. While their sights were focused on this group, one of them lunged into the water, swimming rapidly in their direction. The tour guide shouted for everyone to get back into the boat. The group almost learned the hard way that the Everglades could swallow humans in seconds if they weren't careful enough. Beyond bizarre encounters with 20-foot crocodiles, residents have spoken out many times about how living in modern Florida is starting to feel like wild Australia, where encounters with dangerous animals are starting to be seen as normative. This was most obvious on the morning of September 28, 2022, when Florida was already shaking under the coming waves of Hurricane Ian.
We're just getting a report, huge jump in the power outages in Florida.
The wind, feeling the wind, and Mother Nature, Hurricane Ian.
One of the strongest storms seen in years. Wind speeds were getting worse, and rain was pouring without mercy. Water quickly rises in streets, yards, and neighborhoods near the city of Fort Myers in Lee County. By 7 a.m., floodwaters had pushed through lawns and driveways, but the real surprise came afterwards. An event so bizarre it made people rub their eyes in disbelief. Just a few minutes past 8 a.m., a man stepped out onto his back patio after watching the storm creep up his lawn for hours, and that was when he caught a strange movement in the murky water. Going a safe distance, he grabbed his phone and started filming, and the viral post would become the famous Ian Street shark video. A large shark was now swimming in the streets, causing an event so strange that the authorities long after the hurricane warned people to stay out of floodwaters. later saying how alligators, massive snakes, and sharks were indeed found in these waters. These animals weren't easily found in Florida, even during the worst of events. So what could be responsible for these encounters? According to scientists, it cannot be helped that Florida's natural world is the best ecosystem for exotic animals. Its warm and humid climate, which is wet all round, creates a home where all kinds of animals can thrive with little effort. From giant monitor lizards to tegus, pythons, and non-native snakes, the state's waterways, canals, and wetlands give the perfect conditions for species brought on as pets to thrive. The big problem is not only that humans own these animals, but what happens when said humans leave these pets to survive on their own? Worst-case scenario, once these pets are lost, they easily find food by instinct, shelter by natural means, and breeding opportunities, leading to an explosive invasion. Unlike native species that are always monitored by the authorities, exotic animals brought in by illegal means are difficult to keep track of. Many exotic pet owners release animals once they get too large, become naturally aggressive, and too expensive to keep. Most exotic pets start out very small but grow very quickly, just like a tegu or monitor lizard, which starts out from a few inches to several feet in less than a year. The consequences are almost devastating, extending far beyond wildlife into human safety. As we've seen, many residents have reported seeing exotic animals in backyards, drainage ditches, and ponds. They move very confidently in the human species, raising many questions in the minds of those who are almost led by them. Where exactly did these animals come from? Who is monitoring them? The fact is that nobody knows, and the authorities are many steps behind in bringing the situation under control. Could it be that the invasive crocodiles were illegally brought in as pets? After all, the illegal pet trade is almost impossible to regulate, and many exotic animals are brought through private sales and online auctions. The ones that come in legally do so as rescues and temporary pets that are later abandoned when their users cannot handle them properly anymore. Once these foreign animals get released, somehow they find mates and reproduce in the wild. And just like that, invasive pythons, tegus, monitors, and other non-native reptiles successfully breed in Florida's ecosystems. Long before the man-hunting crocodiles regularly encountered today, Burmese pythons, released decades ago, have already brought populations to zero in the Everglades. The same pattern is now happening for other species, with monitor lizards and tegus getting found competing with native predators and shifting the balance entirely. These predators seem to have mastered the art of hiding from our best technologies, only popping up as a problem when it seems they want to be found. They mostly stay hidden when they don't want to be found or disturbed, and the only places they are found more easily are in the Everglades. But now that they are actively spilling out, panic is starting to rise once again. Many sightings happen years after the populations have been firmly established, creating a feedback loop of animals getting released, growing and expanding long before the authorities can respond with proper action. This was the pattern that hurt the most with the Burmese python, with patterns strikingly similar to the crocodile encounters. Right now, bringing their populations to a safe level has proven impossible, despite the hundreds of wildlife experts bringing in dozens of stray pythons per month. These pythons are among the most successful invasive predators in Florida's history, introduced through the pet trade in the 70s. 20 years later, they had become established in the region, leading to over 300,000 living in the Everglades today. This high success is mainly because of how easily they reproduce, with the most healthy females laying up to 100 eggs per clutch each year. The adult males can grow up to 20 feet long and live over 25 years. The only predators of the Burmese python in Florida are very few, with the only flourishing species being the crocodiles that have quietly become the apex predators with humans in its menu. With only a few natural enemies to deal with, the few thousand removed each year make no difference in the long run, as many snakes remain, breed, and continue to increase. For this reason, the state of Florida established the Python Action Team, removing invasive species in 2016 to remove the population entirely. After the many wild encounters of 2025, the combined efforts alongside the South Florida Water Management District led to the removal of over 23,000 pythons from the Everglades. This was a record number considering how each year was below 2,000, but it still wasn't good enough to solve the issue, as the population is believed to surpass 350,000 by the end of 2026, even with that level of control. To boost performance against the invasive species, the Florida Python Challenge was launched.
The Florida Python Challenge is starting soon, and the state is taking volunteers in Florida Fish and Wildlife.
An exercise where experts compete to remove as many pythons as possible in 10 days to get huge sums of money. Despite this effort, the number was close to nothing, with only 223 pythons removed in 2021, 209 in 2023, and 294 removed in 2025. So what makes it so difficult? The answer lies like these constrictors. Just as it is with the bold apex crocodiles, Burmese pythons are cryptic and highly camouflaged wherever they live. Most of the time, they are found by wildlife experts when they have to move past open areas to get a meal. If they intentionally choose to never be found, finding them would be extremely difficult, even for the most experienced of professionals. For the average expert working in the Everglades, it takes 8 hours to find one python, and that is in the most optimal situation without any complications caused by weather and habitat. On top of that, the 300,000 population is just a conservative estimate based on a best-case scenario. Some ecologists warn that the numbers may be 500,000. Even when pythons are removed from one area, others may move or remain undetected in nearby places, and it is for this reason that the authorities make the difficult decision to euthanize the animals once they get caught. The more difficult part is knowing their efforts don't change anything, and another animal is on the verge of surpassing the very thing they are trying to eradicate. Stay with us as we explore the many possibilities and dangers that lie ahead. When humans became the prey. As we've covered, the American crocodile poses danger not only to animals, but also to humans. The recent pattern of encounters with humans shows that the population is starting to recognize suburban areas as natural habitats and humans as prospective food. Many clues point to this, especially considering the many documented cases of fatal encounters with like-minded animals. Perhaps the biggest man-eating crocodile is Gustav, known as the most notorious crocodile recorded in modern history. This 23-foot-long Nile crocodile lives along the Ruzizi River and Lake Tanganyika in Burundi and has single-handedly devoured 60 verified victims and 300 deaths reported by locals. The number of fatalities was so many that some of the natives had begun to worship the crocodile as a god to prevent further encounters. All the patterns showed that this animal had humans not as a statistic in difficult times, but a regular meal whenever it was time to hunt. Another similar case is Lolong, the giant saltwater crocodile of the Philippines. Long before its capture in September 2011, it had reportedly devoured multiple fishermen and children in the region based on local evidence and ongoing patterns of missing persons up until the beast was captured. With that said, is there evidence that the local American crocodiles are heading in this direction? Sadly, the difficult answer based on the evidence is yes. The stories leading to the fatalities in Burundi and the Philippines all show the same pattern we see in places close to the Everglades and beyond. The predators leave their natural habitat and start getting comfortable moving into human settlements. Then the number of human encounters continues to increase until the first big tragedy strikes. More recent encounters point to this. For example, in March 2024, a 68-year-old was bitten by a crocodile after falling into the water near Flamingo Marina in Everglades National Park.
A man is airlifted to the hospital after he was reportedly bitten by a crocodile. Officials believe the 68-year-old man's...
This happened after a 13-foot crocodile had bitten a man and a woman living in Coral Gables, giving near-fatal injuries before releasing them and moving away. In both of these cases, the animals did not continue to pursue after biting, and so the authorities classified the events as rare. However, the higher number of encounters and close calls with the wild shows that these attacks are not only possible, but would become a lot more common if nothing is done to stop them. These animals have everything it takes to make this a regular practice, given their ability to ambush predators with string jaws designed to instantly crush bones and tear muscles. Full-grown adults easily surpass 10 feet in length, and with most of their body mass made of sheer muscle, it has everything it takes to quickly overpower a fully grown human. They also swim very fast at about 20 miles an hour, while also remaining invisible under the surface. On top of that, the waterways, canals, and brackish waters near populated regions provide spaces where humans and crocodiles easily bump into one another. Crocodiles have now been tracked moving into urban canals with no locals knowing about it, implying that these creatures have figured out a way to navigate our land spaces better than the average person would. Their natural instinct is territorial, meaning they get very aggressive whenever they find a place they like, only to find another living being already there. Recent behavior shows that crocodiles no longer fear humans, and with the Burmese python taking away most of the natural mammal populations of the Everglades, it only makes sense for these crocodiles to go for the next logical source of food and nourishment: humans. So what do you think? Would crocodiles naturally hunt fit humans as they do for every other food, or would they retreat back into their natural habitats to live like they always have? We'd love to know your opinions on this, so let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Also, click on the next video shown on your screen.